You're listening to the Bird Dog Babe podcast with my mom, Courtney Bastion.
This episode is presented to you by Purina Pro Plan and Boss Shotshells.
I think that a lot of people make resolutions because it's the new year and it's the thing to do, and it's more of a wish. Well, I really wish this would happen this year, but don't actually put a plan in place to accomplish those wishes and make them happen. And that's where it transforms into goals, like having a plan of action and revisiting that plan and seeing, are you making progress towards that goal, or has that goal gotten pushed to the back burner, and is that something that you feel that you need to put more priority and time into?
Patreon patrons just got access to the bird plucking webinar that Emily Spolier and Katie Willis put on. They show different methods of plucking and explain the reasons and benefits of why they do it. And thanks to the new members that signed up, I matched 100% of the pledges and was able to donate $125 to Pheasants Forever. Thanks so much, Emily and Katie, for providing such a great demo and helping to raise money for one of my favorite organizations. I'm headed to Minneapolis, Minnesota this week, so if you're in the area, head over to St. Paul River Center and come say hi to me and the team at the Purina Pro Plan booth. Grab some treats for your dogs, get some Purina swag, and let's talk about which Pro Plan formula is right for your dog. Upland season has ended on January 1st in Montana, but we still have 10 days left of waterfowl. I sure wish I had a case of Boss 3.5s right now, but that's my fault for not thinking of it sooner. I haven't tried them out yet, but I hear that they're a pretty deadly combination. So for me, it'll be Boss 5s for the rest of the season and a bit of extended fun as I head to Idaho and Oregon in the last couple weeks. Go to bossshotshells.com and watch their website every morning to see if they have what you need is in stock. My New Year's Eve hunt was cold and snowy. My legs are still a little sore from trudging around in deep snow all day. I took my Siren 20-gauge Tempio light apart, pulled out the chokes to clean and grease, then wiped down and ran a boar snake through the barrels. Because when you're hunting in those wet, snowy conditions, any bit of moisture quickly turns to rust. And no siren deserves to have its beauty hidden behind rust. Go to sirenusa.com and take a look at the entire lineup of shotguns for women. Find out why their slogan is "No More Compromises." Stasha and Angus got pretty cold towards the end of our hunt on Friday, and trust me, it was tempting to let them just jump in my truck on my drive home to warm up, but the roads were bad, and it wasn't worth risking their life to let them ride loose. I dried them up with a towel and put them in their Dakota 283 G3 kennels. I have a wet mutt mat in each with a plush dog bed on that, and the kennel is covered with an insulated Mud River cover. I compromise on other gear and products, but I'll never compromise the safety of my dogs who just gave me their all out there and have 2 little kids waiting at home for them. Your dog deserves it. Go to Dakota283.com and use promo code BIRDDOGBABE for 10% off. My guest today is Kat Pippitt of Standing Stone Kennels. Kat leads a busy yet organized schedule while she and her husband Ethan continue to grow their business, raise toddlers, and focus on personal health and well-being. As we kick off the new year, we all consider what we have planned for our resolutions. Research shows that a whopping 80% of New Year's resolutions fail with the first month. Kat explains how making goals rather than resolutions with an action plan that is specific, measurable, and time-bound are more attainable. Please stay tuned to the very end of this episode as I share an important message regarding the future of this podcast. All right, let's get after it.
Kat, we've had you on the previous episode, 45, when it was you and Jenny Martinson and Megan Marzoff, which was a super fun episode and one that has done really well on this podcast because I think a lot of ladies can relate. But if you could give us an introduction of yourself.
Sure. So I'm Kat Pippitt. Me and my husband own Standing Stone Kennels, which is a training program, as well as we breed German Shorthair Pointers. We have 2 little boys, a 3-year-old now and a 7-month-old. So those 2 little boys keep us very busy. We live in Kansas, which we used to live in Minnesota, and Kansas by far has a little bit better climate for me anyhow. Not those really harsh cold winters anyway. And I guess that's kind of it. We raise bird dogs. We love to hunt, and we love to educate people about training their own dogs from home.
Awesome. And the last time we talked, you were pregnant at the time.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Not anymore. So the baby is out and he is so busy and active. He's crawling around everywhere already.
I can't believe he's 7 months old already.
In 18-month clothes too. So
that's crazy.
I don't know.
That away, Mama. You are doing a good job keeping that boy fed and healthy.
That's right.
I wanted to have you on for this episode to talk a little bit about some of the, I want to say, like, not necessarily New Year's resolutions, because I think, what is it, like 80% of those fail within the first month or so. So I think it's important for us to kind of view it as goals in the new year. And this has been something that my husband and I have done for years. We sit down, whether it's New Year's Eve, and put our ideas together, but we go through kind of a couple different categories, and then we, either put that on a vision board or we put it on a magnet on the refrigerator so that it stays right in your face. That is something that has worked for us. And so I'm curious, because I know I've seen in some of your Instagram stories that you have some goals and plans for this year. And so why don't you kind of start us out with, do you write them? Do you type them out? How do you do that?
Yeah. So I agree with you. I think that a lot of people make resolutions because it's the new year and it's the thing to do. And it's more of a wish. Well, I really wish this would happen this year, but don't actually put a plan in place to accomplish those wishes and make them happen. And that's where it transforms into goals, like having a plan of action and revisiting that plan and seeing, are you making progress towards that goal, or has that goal gotten pushed to the back burner? And is that something that you feel that you need to put more priority and time into? So yes, my husband and I, we do the same thing where we sit down, not always on New Year's Eve. Like we called it our end of the year business meeting, and went out for a nice dinner and got a chance to talk about, what we had accomplished this year a little bit, kind of that recap of the year, and then goals for next year. And those are not just personal goals, but they're business goals, whether that's for our breeding program or for our YouTube channel and social media platforms or our online store, and putting a few things down in writing. It's one thing to talk about it. I feel like when you put it on paper, or I have a note in my phone that I just add little marks to, like little checklist things to, but putting it down just really solidifies that. So it's goes from that wish category to that plan and that goal category for us. Mm-hmm. So I use notes in my phone because I've always got my phone on me. So it's easily accessible. If I'm thinking about something, I don't have to go, I've got to get inside and write that down on that piece of paper or on that calendar or something like that. I can say, I'm thinking about this now. This is something that is important in that planning process or in that progress process of achieving that goal. So I'm going to write it down while I'm thinking of it. Otherwise, my brain goes and I completely forget about it by the time I get back into the house, 6 hours later or whatever it is. And it's, maybe 6 weeks before I think about it again. So
yeah. So how often are you revisiting that then on your phone?
So I have a weekly goals list. I don't know if I can quick kind of show you. It's the first, I don't know. It's a widget. I have it as a widget on my phone right there. So I can click that and it automatically goes to my weekly goals. And literally these don't all happen in the same week. But they're things that I have to keep. They're things that I have to not let fall off the back burner and not happen, because 6 weeks later, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was supposed to have done that. If it's written down, at least I can revisit it on a weekly basis, if not even a daily basis. Sometimes you get, when you don't have a set work day, I guess, and you're like, okay, I go into the office at 8 a.m. and I leave at 5 p.m. and I have these meetings on the schedule. We have a much more fluid work day, I guess. And so if I don't have a checklist that I can refer to, sometimes you go, I know I've got so much to do, but you're spinning your wheels, I guess, if that makes sense. Whereas if I go, what could I be working on now? I can actually like look at my list and go, oh yeah, this, and this. And it keeps me on track and motivated to get those things done. Plus, I don't know if I'm the only person out there, but I love checking things off a list.
Yes.
Sometimes I'll literally put something on a list that I just got done so I can check it off.
I love that. I love that. Yes. You just can't compare that of the feeling of that check mark, and I got to say, like, I write things down with pencil and on paper. You can do the tap of the phone, and I can see how that's going to be super helpful if, like, you're out training dogs, you think of something so you don't have to run in the house, write it down, try to find where the children unloaded all the lead out of the pencil. But making that check mark with the pencil or making the line through really says, like, all done here.
Yes. It's very satisfying. And I do, like, it's not like I completely don't have a paper list anywhere. Sure, I have paper lists here and there for like upcoming training dogs and our training schedule with, clients, and keeping track of that, because it's kind of also fluid, because we have, 3 to 4 month training program. Well, if that dog doesn't maybe go through exactly right, well, I need to be able to fluidly move the next dog coming in when this dog's going out, kind of the hotel. I need hotel software. Like, this dog is checking in for this long, this dog is checking out, but I don't have that. So I have paper.
I like how you guys had kind of a business date with it, because you dressed up for that too, didn't you?
We did dress up. Made it kind of something special. Because otherwise, the boys take up a lot of time, and I love that, but sometimes you can't have those adult conversations. That dinner actually lasted for like 3 hours. It was an amazing dinner. So much great conversation, great food, great wine, and a lot of great planning and goals that we made. We actually had another list of things that we wanted to discuss, from, breeding program, what our 2022 planned litters are going to be, what our plans are for our Patreon, and how that's going to evolve and develop, and how we're going to incorporate, an online training program that's been in the works and on that radar for a long time. And we keep making very small baby steps towards finishing that. And, that is one of our priorities for this year. Things kind of shuffle around, like, yes, these are things that we want to do, we need to do, but the priority hasn't been there for it. It's just, add a little bit to it here and there. And this year we want to make it more of a priority for our business. It was a good meeting to go over that. As well as we talked about some of those, like far-fetched wishes and stuff, like, oh man, wouldn't it be awesome to be able to do this, maybe not this year, but 5-year plan type stuff.
So when you guys had the dinner, did you each come with your own list of things to discuss, or did you say, hey, let's break this down in categories and then combine them together? What did that look like?
So it was, we both had in our minds things that we wanted to discuss, and we brought them to the table together. And then I was the secretary and wrote them down / typed them into my phone. So because Ethan is honestly the worst about notes. We have that weekly goal list that I showed you. Yeah. That's a shared note. So it shows up on his phone. Do you know when the last time is that man has checked something off that list? Like, I don't know, months, right? So I go, hey, I feel like I've seen you working on this. Have you done this? He's like, oh yeah, that's been done. I'm like, well, let's check it off the list then. So I check it off the list for him. But we do have that shared goal notes, so we can both look at it. He's just not as much of a, like list note, goal oriented box guy, I guess. But we did come up with that shared combined note that we can review and revisit. I don't know how often we'll revisit it. I jokingly said, we need to have quarterly business meetings like this where we go out for a nice dinner and, totally make an excuse to do that. So I feel like at least quarterly, it's something that needs to be reviewed, if not more frequently than that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And now I'm like thinking of, okay, now it's New Year's Eve right now, today.
Yeah.
As soon as I get done here, I'm going to go hunting because it's the last day of our Montana season. Well, tomorrow, I suppose, but today is my last day. And then I'm like, how do I figure out how to make dinner plans for tonight so we can do that?
You might have to do like a charcuterie board with wine at home.
Yeah. But then what do I do with the children? It's like go downstairs while we have our business/date.
I don't know what time your children go to bed. Luckily mine go to bed at 7:30. So then that's still an early night.
That's
still have,
perfect.
a couple hours in the evening. So
yeah. When you do your weekly goals, do you sit down and do that and plan out the week?
So we sit down, and typically on Sunday, if not Monday morning, that's kind of when we put some new things on that list, make sure that, we're keeping some of those, I say weekly goals. There's stuff down on the bottom of that list that are just like, hey, we need to keep this on the radar, like video ideas. I'm not going to be able to shoot every single video this week, but if I don't put those video ideas on a list, then it's like, well, we were going to shoot a video. What was it going to be about? And we couldn't remember what that great idea was at the time. So like I've got a list on there, or like section of that list that has video ideas, which aren't going to happen every week, but as time allows, we fill in. But yes, we add new things. Like next week, Ethan's got a guy coming out to look at the land for like some CRP programs. So that's going to be on the weekly, goals list. Like we need to have that discussion and figure out what we're doing, if we're, going to add CRP programs, if we're going to wait, that sort of thing. So anything that's coming up that week, we look at our calendar, which nobody wants to look at my calendar. It's so scary. It's color coordinated though, so that helps. But then we can actually say, okay, these are coming up this week. What kind of plans do we need to make that happen?
Mm-hmm. When you make that check, or when you achieve a goal, do you celebrate in any sort?
I guess I don't. It depends on what the goal was. Like if it's, hey, we shot this video, I typically don't do like a big, celebration. Yeah. But if it's a bigger thing, like I've got some personal goals, that are things that I'm making achievements for. And for example, like I was like, as soon as I lose 10 pounds, I want to be able to get myself a new Apple Watch. Cause I had like the second series or whatever from 7 years ago, and it couldn't hardly battery make the whole day. So it needed replaced, and I was waiting for an excuse to do that. And so I rewarded myself for that progress towards my goals. So there's certain things that I do make, celebrations or, little rewards along the way to keep the motivation going. But yeah, it depends on the goal.
I love that. That's very fun, because it also kind of goes in line with how you achieve that, right?
We have a Tonal, like in-home gym system, and my watch actually syncs with the Tonal. And so it keeps track of my heart rate. It keeps track of calories, movement, things like that. I mean, it's also got the Apple activity, exercise goals. Like you could click that I'm doing a strength training workout or something too. But I usually, if I'm using the Tonal, I just attach and sync with the Tonal app on my watch. But yeah, it keeps track of all of that. And those movement goals, are you breathing? Are you standing? Are you closing those rings? So.
So we got to talk about that Tonal, because I feel like all the ads coming through my Instagram, my Facebook are all Tonal right now. And it's like my phone listens to me talk. Yes. And then it starts throwing those ads in there.
I swear they do that. No, I'm not even kidding. Your phone listens to you.
Yeah. So how long have you had the Tonal?
A longer amount of time than I've used it. So
okay.
Back before kids, Ethan and I used to go to the gym 5 days a week, easy. We could make the time early in the morning to go to the gym, which was 30 minutes one way. Well, then when you have kids, you can't just leave them at the house while you run to the gym and get your workout in and come back. So that really changed our, health goals, and we couldn't get somebody to come watch the kids at, 4:30 in the morning. I mean, I don't know why, but so workouts just got pushed to the back burner and didn't happen. I got pregnant with the second baby, same thing. I'm like, we need something at home that I can get up and do, and not one of us goes to the gym, one of us stays home, divide and conquer. And we looked at some options. So Ethan really wanted like PRX, like the free weight system. I don't know if you've seen those. You will now because your phone's listening to you.
Yep.
But it's like, it's got a rack and a bench, and you can fold it up, but it's got free weights, big weights and things like that. And okay. I'm like, I've always loved lifting weights, and we've always lifted in a gym with that type of system, but that takes up a lot of space, and we don't have the space in our garage or our home anywhere for that. So I looked at other options, and I found the Tonal and was like, this looks like a really great option. I did a ton of research. I tried to sell it to Ethan, like, hey, I think you'd really like this. And he's like, I think I would hate that. It looks like a cable system, not real weights. Boo. And I'm like, fine, I'm giving this to myself as a push present then. You don't have to love it. I'm going to use it. So I ordered it for my push present, which, another, hey, I made this human, I'm rewarding myself, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So got that ordered. It took, forever to come in because of how supply and demand works right now.
Okay.
And got it installed in July. Okay. And I had not used it until November, the very end of November after Thanksgiving. So it literally sat, what's that? August, September, 4 months without being used. And part of that was the intimidation factor where I was like, oh, this is going to be learning something new. I've got to get it set up and learn how to use it. It's going to be this big learning curve. I can't do that. I don't have time to do that. It was always this excuse, that excuse. Paying for those subscriptions we talked about.
Yep.
For 4 months, because you have to pay for a monthly subscription with it. You don't have to, but that's how you get access to like the programs and like the workout routines. Otherwise you can use it just as a weight system.
That gives incentive in itself too, knowing that
I spent money on this. I better stink.
Yeah.
Ethan's like, you need to just use this thing. So he helped me go down, set it up, which was actually super easy. You put in your age, your height, your weight, your gender, and then it did a evaluation where it was like, you're going to do this movement. It showed you how to do it with the system, and it basically did resistance things to determine where your starting weights should be, which has always been something I've struggled with. Like, you go to the gym and you see all the free weights and you're like, what do I do? How do I pick a weight to start at? And this really zeroed it in and dialed it in for me. So that was awesome.
Wow.
And it gives you feedback on your form. It's been awesome. I've loved it. Ethan has also been working out with it. And after like the first week, I said, so what do you think of it? He's like, I like it. And I'm like, what? It got Ethan's stamp of approval, then it can't be all that bad, right? So he actually likes it, and he works out as much, if not more than I do on it. So, and it's got different profiles. So it keeps track of all of his workouts and weights, and it increases weights for you when it recognizes, oh, you're doing those really well. It can, read how smoothly you're doing a lift, and then it increases the weight by a pound or two for you. So it's constantly pushing you to, get stronger and improve as well. So,
and I saw that there's kid workout options on there as well.
Yeah. And Aiden will go down and do little workouts with daddy and stuff too.
Yeah.
So yeah, he loves to be a helper and be involved with whatever we're doing. So why not, motivate him to have a healthy lifestyle from the get-go. And also I've had a lot of experience with strength training and weightlifting in the past. So I love that more than cardio. I have a spin bike that also sits downstairs that I pay for a monthly Peloton.
So yeah, like I'm going between a Peloton or the Tonal, because already for the last 3 weeks, our roads here in front of our house are completely ice. So there's just no way to get out and run. And I hate running on treadmills, especially when you look at the dog next to you and it's like, oh yeah, you're laying there on the couch while I'm on the treadmill, and we should be out running together right now.
Yeah. I have never been a huge cardio person. Running has not been my thing. Strength training has been my thing. So I think you just need to evaluate and that's part of setting goals too, is like, I'm going to be honest with myself and know that I really hate cardio. So I'm going to try and find something that fits what I will enjoy doing, because that's going to make me want to do it more instead of literally dreading getting on that spin bike. And maybe when I get a little bit, in better shape, I'll have a little more energy to be like, yeah, I'll get on that spin bike here and there, but not so far.
So do you break down into categories of kind of what your goals are for the year? Like we do personal, we do family, then we have a business, then we even have personal dogs, like what, we want to achieve, what we want to test our dogs in this year, and breeding program stuff.
Yeah. So I would say we have just 3 main categories. Personal, which is like me personal, not
Mm-hmm.
Ethan and I's personal. He has his own personal goals for growth and development. I have my own personal goals for growth and development. Then we have our combined business goals, which encompasses the growth of our business as a whole, from our breeding program, our training program, our online presence, that sort of thing. And then the family goals as well. So 3 categories.
What does your typical day look like? I know you don't have like a very typical day today, but like what time are you waking up in the morning and what are you doing?
So if I have my typical day where, you know, the shit doesn't hit the fan and you've got your norm and, you know, people aren't calling in sick and you don't have childcare and things like that. So if it's a normal day for Ethan and I, we're typically getting up around 4:30. And then we get up, we take care of emails, Patreon messages, depending on the day of the week. I've got some other administrative stuff like with, you know, client report cards for their dogs and getting back to those type of messages. And then after that, we usually have time, if we are efficient, for us both to get our workouts in. Sometimes we'll work out together, sometimes we'll, you know, divide and conquer. And then the boys are getting up. If I have childcare, they usually are here around 8. So we have breakfast with the boys and, you know, hang out with Aiden, and Cade is crawling around getting into everything right now. So he's very busy. And then Aiden's helping do breakfast stuff. Then once childcare shows up, then we come out to the kennel and to the office, and we either do some training with the dogs, shoot some videos, check on any of the dogs in our care that need, you know, special attention, things like that, to just be aware of where they're at with training. Have a little meeting with some of the employees, you know, if they have questions or concerns, we can go over that with them. And then that's kind of it. We just grind all day until about 5 o'clock, whether that's we're shooting videos, we're hitting the field, you know, doing some of those goals, trying to get, you know, new products on our store, talk to suppliers, things like that. You're kind of a jack of all trades when you run your own business, and maintenance man. Oh, this kennel's broken. We need to, you know, get this hinge repaired, all that stuff. And then by 5 o'clock, we're typically done for the day with the kennel stuff, heading back in, having dinner with Aiden, getting Cade and them bathed and ready for bed. And then they go to bed around 7 o'clock, which is nice. 7 to 7 is pretty much their schedule, which is 12 hours. And then we're usually in bed. We're old and get up early, so we're usually in bed by like 9:30. So we have a couple hours in the evening where if we've got to make a few phone calls or Patreon things that didn't work out during the day, we'll do that. Maybe squeeze in an episode of Yellowstone or whatever we're watching at the time. And then I've been trying to make time. This is one of the goals that I have for my like growth and development, make time to read a little bit, and then go to bed.
Do you shut off your phones at a certain time that you're not like laying in bed right before you sleep? Or do you?
Oh, we need to. Like that would be a really good goal, which we have not approached making that, because I would say that phones are our biggest distraction as well as such an important tool for our business. So it's like that double-edged sword. You can get distracted by it and get sucked into some garbage on there that you're scrolling or watching reels or whatever. And you're like, oh my gosh, I just wasted how much time doing this. Stupid me. But it's also how we communicate with all of our clients and our suppliers and each other sometimes. So it's hard to just shut it off, but it needs to. That would be a really good family goal. We try and put our phones down when the boys are our focus. Now, when we don't have childcare and we're trying to multitask and still work and watch the boys, phones and computers are out more. And you definitely recognize how observant your children are when Aiden will be like, I'll get my phone out to take a cute video of him doing something. He'll be like, don't work, mommy. And I'm like, I'm not working right now, honey. I'm actually taking a picture of you or a video of you. But he recognizes how much we're on our phones. And so definitely limiting screen time during those family moments that we should try and do, even though I still want to take pictures and videos. So it's like, I have to have my phone because that's how I do that. But it needs to be focused on, you know, maybe put on do not disturb or something like that, but where I can still use it for the video and photo aspect of things.
Kat is right. I'm sure a lot of us would agree we'd like to limit our screen time. But one place you shouldn't limit your screen time is when you're using your OnX Hunt app to scout out potential hunting spots, searching the different layers for more insight, and sending your friends some waypoints. Go to onxmaps.com to get yourself the #1 hunting GPS app that displays 852 million acres of public land with 9,569 unique hunting units, and find out why OnX Hunt is trusted by millions of hunters nationwide.
What are some books that you're reading right now?
So I'm only reading one right now, and I'm the same way. Like, audiobooks are my go-to, and typically they're honestly the jibber jabber, like not self-growth or development books.
Sure.
I need an escape every once in a while, because for us, at least with our business and how much time we put into it, that encompasses a lot of my time, and I just need to shut it off. We've even found, sometimes you go to dinner with people and all they want to talk about is dogs, business, all that. And I'm like, I just want to shut it off once in a while. Like, I love dogs. I love our business. We're very passionate about it, but it can't be that 24/7 thing that encompasses your entire life. My family's really important to me. I'd rather talk about that right now instead of more dog stuff. So I get that little bit of time with those audiobooks as like an escape from reality, but I'm also usually listening to one while I'm multitasking. I feel that guilt of sitting and reading because I'm not accomplishing those goals on that list. And there's always something I could be doing, right? So this year I'm making that goal to sit down and read. I've got a personal book that I'd like to read, and then a business development and growth book that I want to read. And I've started the business related book. It's called Let Dogs Be Dogs.
Okay.
And I'm only into chapter 2, but hey, this is a resolution I made, or a goal that I made for 2022, and we're not even there yet. So I feel like I'm ahead of the game. But it's really good. I like it because in the past, I haven't done a lot of reading about dog psychology, dog behavior. It's just been I don't want to say something that's come naturally, but something that's come naturally, reading dogs, as well as applying a lot of experience with training. Well, this didn't work. Why didn't it work? Well, I'm going to try this instead with this dog and see if it worked there, but not necessarily having read about it or watched videos about it. Because when Ethan and I started training 10 plus years ago, there wasn't a lot of those video resources out there like there seems to be today. So it was a lot of self-taught stuff and self-evaluated things. And now I'm like, I want to keep learning. I feel like if you stop learning and you stop challenging yourself, you're doing a disservice to yourself as well as our breeding program, our training program, right? We can always continue to learn more. So reading this book is awesome because I'm seeing a lot of similarities to how we view dogs and training, and they've got great examples. Even in these first 2 chapters, I'm like, these are really great real life examples that I feel like people, when I'm communicating with our clients, can benefit from some of these examples that I can give them. Because dog psychology and psychology in general kind of goes over some people's heads, like how you're talking about it. But if you can give real world examples that are relatable, then they're like, oh, well, that makes sense. Like when I talk to people about how e-collars work, well, if they don't understand e-collars, they get a bad idea about what e-collars can be. And they're just this horrible, shocking device that you're doing punishment stuff to dogs. And I'm like, well, that's not how we use e-collars. And so giving them examples of how e-collars work and how they can relate those same, negative reinforcement type of things in their own life, like your alarm clock, really, I think, makes them more understandable. So using some of the examples that I'm reading about in this book, when we start communicating with clients about things, I think will be helpful too. So I'm excited to finish this book, and they have a couple other books, the authors, that The Art of Raising a Puppy. And I'm like, oh, I want to read that one too. So that they mentioned in the intro of this book. I'm like, well, I'm putting that one on my reading list now too, because so far I like what I'm reading.
Do you buy the books or do you have a library membership?
Well, because I haven't literally sat and read like ever or anything in the last however many years. I have an Audible subscription for audiobooks. This book is a paper book, and it's one that Ethan, I wonder if he was either given it or if he bought it, but it's been a couple years since we got the book, but it was purchased. I feel like I would have way too many late fees if I had a library, because like I will go in spurts where I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit and read, and I've had time and I make time and I sit and read, you know, and then that book's going to sit there. I know myself, I know our schedule and how stuff can't 100% be planned for. And, you know, something unpredictable will be happening. And like right now we don't have childcare. So there's a lot fewer hours in the day for sitting and reading right now. So I may not read for the next week or two and then pick it back up. Well, libraries, unfortunately, limit your time with books.
I've read, Hal Eldron, like the Miracle Mornings. Rachel Hollis has some similar stuff of like having a routine. And it's always this wake up in the morning, meditate, read at least 10 pages, or like even the hard 75. He does the same thing of read, and not just audiobooks, but like the importance of picking up a paper book and reading that. But I'm like, I would love to just wake up in the morning and meditate, but like there's a bunch of dogs that need to get out. And if the second they see me open my eyes, they start, So,
yeah, the energy level comes up and you're like, well, there's no meditating now.
There will be no meditating
before you get out of bed. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't happen. We literally are raising a puppy, I feel like all the time, like every 6 months. So puppies, bladder control, they hear your alarm clock go off. They're like, and I need out. So you start your day right away. No.
Yeah. Yeah. And then cold showers. That was the other recommendation for.
Absolutely not. I take the hottest showers in the world. We've got like our shower that'll set what the temperature is, and then you can just turn it on and off. And we have battles about the temperature that shower is set at. So mine is scald your skin off. Ethan's is on the tepid side. So
okay.
I love, like, that's my enjoyment time. I'm like, this is 20 minutes, but I get 20 minutes. I'll take a 20-minute shower, but I shower like every other day. I just don't make
But that's where you like, isn't that like where you get some of your best ideas too? I feel like whenever I shower, like all the answers to life come to me.
And you can just like not have interruptions.
Yes.
I mean, that's my place to not be interrupted most of the time.
Yeah. The children come in and open the shower curtain. Yeah. I see your butt. And then and then they laugh for 10 minutes straight. Like, okay.
Yeah. Truly privacy moments don't happen as much with children. I've learned. But most of the time I get my 20 minutes of showering by myself. So
yeah.
And it's going to be hot because I'm not sticking in a shower for 20 minutes if it's cold. Courtney, we're combining our meditation and our shower at the same time.
Yes. At the same time. See, there we go.
Multitasking, efficiency.
Yeah. I can't make it cold. Like there's no relaxation and meditation with a cold shower though. No. But yeah, that's a thing. Like they say, like your production, your productivity for the day and your mood for the day will be amazing if you take a cold shower. And as I wake up to, being 10 below zero and freezing outside, it's not really what I want to jump into.
No, I don't know. I think that maybe somebody that is immersed in our lifestyle with children and dogs and running their own businesses and things like that, they should write the book that I read. Mm-hmm. Because I feel the same way about dog stuff sometimes. I'll read, people send me articles. I read more articles, I guess, than books a lot of times. And they're like, you should raise your puppies until they're 12 weeks old. I'm like, have you lived with short hair puppies? 9 weeks is a stretch for them. I mean, they start turning into velociraptors that are being awful to each other. They're
at 7 weeks old.
Yeah, they're establishing pack roles and dominance. And I'm like, okay, this article has obviously been written by some psychological behaviorist sitting in an office somewhere that has never really applied it to dogs in general, or the litters that they have applied it to have not been bold, confident, working breed sporting dogs that are very quick to mature and develop. So I'm like, okay, I feel like that doesn't apply to my life and our program. So I feel like some of these books, don't also apply to our situations. So
I actually had someone tell me last year that I was a irresponsible breeder because I don't keep them until 12 weeks. And I go, well, what breed do you have? Chihuahuas. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're probably so fragile and breakable that they should not be sent home until they're at least 12 weeks and more vaccination rounds and all the things.
Yeah.
I'm like, you come take care of my litter from 8 weeks to 12 weeks then and see how you feel about that.
Yeah, that it just doesn't work. I don't see things coming out positively when they're with you that long.
No, because they do establish those pack roles within their litter, and you're going to get a puppy that becomes a little more dominant and shows some aggressive tendencies over resources like food and toys and, just attention with us. And when you've got a litter of, let's say, 10 puppies, if you give each of those puppies the time and attention that I truly feel that they need, starting at that 8-week mark when they need the time to develop, good behaviors and potty training habits and starting some clicker training and positive reinforcement-based training, and you say, okay, what's the minimum amount of time you think that you should spend with that puppy individually? 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening? That's probably very minimal, right? That's 30 minutes a day times 10 puppies. That ends up being 6 hours of your day. Just training those puppies in a 15-minute training session, let alone the potty training, the playing, the other development that those puppies need on an individual basis. You can't do pack training with puppies at 8 weeks old to 12 weeks old. So I strongly disagree with keeping puppies till 12 weeks old.
And not to put more on your plate, but have you considered you and Ethan writing a book?
No.
Serious. Like you should.
But we don't have any. I'm not a behavioralist or
you don't need to be.
Psychologist.
You have enough information and education and just personal experience to offer. And I'd read it. I'd buy it for sure.
It would probably be very rambly because I'd get off on some tangent and go get on my soapbox for a little bit. But we've written some articles. Like I can be pretty focused when it comes to an article, and I like writing articles, especially when it's things that we get questions about a lot. I'm like, this needs to be addressed in a little more detail. That's where we either shoot videos or write articles about those specific things about, puppy biting and, puppy aggression. I don't know how many times people say, my puppy's aggressive. And I'm like, show me what aggressive means to you. And they send me a video and I'm like, I have a video of a puppy that you would have said is aggressive that's just sassing me and barking and playing with me. And I'm like, that's not aggression. That's not necessarily a good behavior that we want to develop and we want to interrupt that, but let's label it what it is. That's a puppy's behavior, not a dog with aggression. So,
yeah. Do you guys do your YAWA, your You Ask, We Answer podcast? Is that one every week?
It is, unless stuff happens.
Life. Sure.
Yeah. Like this week, we had to cancel YAWA on Wednesday because 2 of our girls are sick. So we have 4 employees. So half of our employees are sick, which means there's a lot of extra evening shifts and things for Ethan and I to cover. And it's too much time to do the kennel, try and shoot a YAWA. So we're like, it had to be canceled this week, but we very much try to. While Cade was really young, it wasn't happening. It was more once a month. But we're
sure,
if all things are equal and life is fairly normal, yes, once a week.
Do you get a lot of the same questions asked on there?
We were, and then we changed the format of our YAWA, and I think that has really helped, and I like what we've done with it. When we started You Ask, We Answer, it has kind of evolved over the course of however many episodes we've done now, where we used to pull all the questions from like Instagram messages, and then we'd answer those just kind of boom, 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 and they weren't live. Then we transitioned to doing them live where people could like ask questions while we're going. And then people would ask questions and do super chats. So we'd give preference to, well, you're paying me to answer this question, so of course I'm going to answer it right. And then we do get a lot of the same questions in those situations. So we tried to make our podcast now, like the first half of it being about a topic, whether that's, holiday safety with your dogs, or, how to develop a puppy, or whatever the topic is that week. And then we open it up to questions afterwards. And all those questions come from the live comments as we're going. And if a super chat pops up, we answer those. But then we kind of pick and choose. Like if it's a question that somebody asks that we've answered 30 other times, I'll probably skip to something new content wise, and say, hey, sorry, we've already answered that question quite a bit. Next question is this.
Okay. So, where can people listen to and watch those?
So we have those on YouTube where
Okay.
you can watch and listen to them weekly. And there's a playlist of all of our YAWAs that we've done. And then we also are on like Anchor and Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And it's just YAWA. We were going to change the name, but it kind of just stuck. At first I was like, this is a dumb name, but I don't know what else to call it. And then I'm like, well, we can't change it now.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. It's catchy. I like it. We talked a little bit about the book. So you have 2 books right now. Like what are a couple of your other favorites that you would recommend that you've listened to or read?
Love the books that I've been reading by Diana Gabaldon. She writes like historical fiction. The history is very real. She researches everything, but then the fiction side, which involves, romance and time travel. Obviously
Outlander.
Yeah. Have you watched any of
all of them?
Yep. I'm waiting for
it was a binge addiction. Yeah. And I didn't even know there was going to be a next season. So I was super excited to see that.
Yes. And if you haven't read the books, I highly recommend it. Fills in a lot of the gaps, but follows the storyline of the movie or the shows, really closely. So, you watch some things that you've read and you're like, I'm a little disappointed with how they adapted that. But I've been really happy with how they've adapted it because I've read all the books first. Now I'm watching the show. So, really good. She just came out with another one and it takes her forever to write them, which is my only,
He does a lot of research on the history though to make sure that it's accurate, I think.
Yes. So. And she has a lot of, I don't want to say collaboration, but she'll send information off to be reviewed by people that have, a lot more experience in those areas and get feedback. So yeah, that makes them enjoyable to read for me. And then I have a whole bunch of other, just like you said, like an escape from reality for a little bit, books like that. So, and I get into a series for a little bit. I'm more of a series person than a standalone novel person, I guess, if that makes sense. So,
yep. Yeah. I have a trip planned to Scotland in August for a hunt, but like ever since Outlander, I'm like, there's so many other things I want to do while I'm there now.
Oh my gosh. You're going to have to do like a entire podcast, like even a mini video series on that experience. Yeah, I would love to see that.
Yeah, I had a trip. It's been, I don't know, like maybe 4 or 5 years now since I was there last. No, maybe 3 or 4. But yeah, it was. It's a beautiful place, and we went to a couple castles. But I'm looking forward to it. What about podcasts? Do you have any favorites or like maybe one that we would never guess that you listen to?
No. So I am more of an audiobook person. And like I've said, I need to put a little more time into, that growth and development side of things, more education based. I do listen to a couple podcasts that people send me. So if somebody's like, hey, I really think you should listen to this episode on this, I'll listen to those. Or like if I go get like my eyebrows done or something like that, the gal that does them, she listens to like some true crime podcast. So then I just get sucked into listening to that while she's doing my eyebrows or eyelashes, which I haven't done in forever. But I'm like, oh, so those are kind of interesting too, these true crime ones, which is kind of random. And some of the girls listen to the same ones at work here. So I'll walk into the kennel in the evening and our speaker system will have some true crime podcast. And I'm like, you girls are listening to this in the evening when it's dark out here in the kennel. I'm like, you're braver than I am.
I would have nightmares.
Out. Yeah, me too.
I would be like jumping into my car from the.
Yes, exactly.
Because
like, it's dark out. Oh my gosh, why am I listening to this?
Right. You know, like the true crime, they're like super popular though. I've never listened to one, so I feel like I need to maybe listen to a really good one just to see what everybody
what
is
the hype
talking
is
about.
about it. I like, it wouldn't be something that I would be putting on my own, you know, like I'm going to put on a podcast and listen to this. But when you're just immersed into it, it kind of like draws you in. I guess we don't watch TV either. We don't have a TV in our house other than in the basement, not in our bedrooms, because I feel like it's a huge distraction. We've got too much other stuff to do. Like I said, we watch Yellowstone. We'll follow a series here or there when we've got time for an hour or so. But I feel like I see a lot of families, a lot of people, if we visit, you know, they've got a TV in their living room or their kitchen or wherever, and it's always on. And if I'm there, I just like get sucked into it. And I'm just like watching it. And I'm like, I would never even watch The Bachelor or Bachelorette or whatever this garbage is on my own, but I'm getting sucked into it because it's on and it's here. And I'm like, I can just eliminate that distraction from my life. Like when we go on vacation, if we're staying in a hotel, we never even turn the TV on. Like it's not something that
it's just nice to have it quiet. And that's like a habit we started in college when we were dating. Just no TV in the bedroom. Like it's never been a big thing in our lives. But yeah, Yellowstone is an Outlander.
Yeah. And The Witcher. Okay. I mean.
Oh, I haven't watched that yet.
Oh, so good.
Okay.
I like it. This second season just came out, but like, again, it's a handful of episodes. It's not like the TV's on all the time. And I think that's probably something that came about from like how I was raised. We had a TV in the house and it was not on other than like a show here and there. It wasn't like constant background.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Cool. Well, what are some of your like maybe top 5 goals for this next year?
Top 5, like as like a combination of family, personal, business, or just like business ones?
You name it, whatever. Just a couple random ones.
So for personal, definitely I want to get my health in line, which includes nutrition as well as working out and just feeling better, because my body was like hurting and so achy, and being pregnant takes a lot out of you. And your body changes and shifts so much with like elastin and the ligaments and stuff. I'm like, I need to just work hard so I feel better about myself and feel better in my clothes and, you know, can wear some of those clothes again. So that's really important to me, as well as, you know, showing our kids that, you know, eating healthy and being active is an important part of our lives.
Excellent.
I also want to be better about giving myself personal time to read, whether that's for business growth and development or personal entertainment, I guess, if you want to call it that, but not feeling guilty about taking, you know, 30 minutes to an hour of my day to do that if I want to. And maybe not every day, but a few days a week. And then I would say business wise, you know, we really have goals for continuing our video series that we have on YouTube, from training videos and things like that. We would really love to find a videographer to hire to come out. Right now we do all the videoing ourselves, send the files off to a media company to edit, and then they get them back to us. We post them, do all the descriptions, thumbnails, things like that. So we would like to, you know, minimize the amount of time that doing videos takes us by having a videographer. We've been trying to hire somebody and it just can't find the right fit. I would also really like to find consistent childcare. We struggle with somebody coming out to nanny because we're 20, 30 minutes from any major towns. But finding a nanny would open up a lot of freedom for us from a time standpoint, as well as I like the idea of having a nanny versus daycare. We've done both.
Yeah.
But for us, driving into town, dropping the kids off, driving home, there's an hour. Mm-hmm. Then going to pick them up, coming back, there's another hour. So there's 2 hours of my day just in drive time that I would rather be more efficient with by having someone else come out here, stay here with the boys, and then go home. Plus, I feel like they get a little more of that one-on-one attention. I don't worry about Aiden or Cade with socialization. They're such friendly, gregarious kids, giggly, happy, talk to everybody, doesn't know a stranger. So I'm not really worried with socialization. When he plays with his cousins or other friends that have kids, he's great. So I'm not concerned with he's not going to know how to interact with children at this point. And then I would say I am going to Rome this year. I was supposed to go to Rome last year, but COVID and travel restrictions happened. So I'm really excited for that. I guess it's not really a goal, but it's something I'm super looking forward to.
That's awesome.
A goal-ish in a way, because I've never traveled other than like a Caribbean cruise or across the border into Canada when I was in college, so I could have, a beer legally.
Right.
But that's been the extent of my international travel. And it's always been with like Ethan when we've gone to the Caribbean or something. So this is a big step for me, like going outside the country and going on this trip that Ethan's kind of my safety net. I don't go do things a lot of times without him. My mom is coming with me because it's double occupancy in the villa that we're staying at. So I'm like, Mom, come with me to Rome. She's like, done.
That's awesome.
So it's a big step outside my comfort zone of like being independent to do that myself. So but I'm excited.
And so are you going for the purpose of just having fun and be a tourist, or do you have something you have to do while you're there?
It's for fun. It is through Female Foodie. A friend of mine said, hey, we should go. And that was last year. And we all booked and we were ready to go. And then it got canceled. And then she reopened it up, the gal that planned it all. And so it's a tour of like local eateries that she's already been there and experienced. So it's not like you're going to Rome and going, I don't know where to eat. Here's Pizza Hut, or whatever. You're going to get like almost a locals insider experience of it. There'll be a pasta making class and some tours of the Vatican. And so I'm excited about all that. Plus we stay at a private villa, and I mean, who doesn't want to do that? So
right.
Yeah. So it's
super
cool. Fun, not business related for once. So that's nice.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Kat. I know you have a busy schedule to get back to for the day. So I appreciate you taking an hour today to join me for this fun episode, and good luck with all your goals for the year.
You as well. And have a happy New Year tonight.
And a happy New Year. Are you guys going to stay up till midnight?
Probably not. We've had a pretty busy week. Ethan and I were like, let's go out for dinner. And we called for a couple reservation places, and they're like, yeah, we don't have anything, because we were really last minute. We have a 4:00, and I'm like, I could eat dinner at 4 and then be home and in bed by 9. So I don't know if we'll make midnight, but
yeah, I don't remember the last time I've seen midnight or cared to.
Yeah, I know. Things change when you get older, have a business, have babies, have dogs. Because the dogs don't sleep in. The babies don't sleep in. If you're up till midnight, 1:00, they're going to be up at their same hour. So.
Yep, exactly. Awesome. Well, thanks, Kat. I appreciate it, and have a very happy New Year and an awesome 2022 to you and Ethan and the family.
You as well. Thanks, Courtney.
Thank you.
Kat provided some great insight and ideas on how to stay on task throughout the year with our goals. And what really hit home with me was when she reminds us about kids being sponges and watching us eating healthy and living active lives. The majority of my personal goals this year involve where I want and need to focus my time and attention. This podcast was started as a means for me to learn and connect with people, and I have had a lot of fun doing it. But I put a lot of research and work into each and every episode, and since I've been back to work traveling, between that family time, getting out hunting, and a lot of volunteer time this past year, I struggled to meet deadlines that I set for myself for this podcast to be out every single Tuesday morning. I don't want to compromise on quality and be a disservice to my guests, so I'm cutting back to 2 episodes per month, and we'll see how that goes. The continuous growth of this podcast blows me away, and I'm so very grateful to you, the listeners, for giving me one of the most valuable things you have, your time. The fact that you've taken 1 to 2 hours per week to listen to this podcast means more to me than you'll ever know. I hope 2022 is your best year yet and that you can grab an opportunity to educate, inspire, and connect. Kelly brought some great insight on this topic regarding social media influence on making dog decisions. As she explains, much of the time we only see the highlight reels, so suggests that we do our due diligence and research the dog or breeder before making decisions based on photos. Thanks everyone for listening. If you enjoy these podcasts, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a rating and review on whichever platform you're listening on. For your bird, dog, and hunting needs, please check out Purina Pro Plan, Boss Shotshells, OnX Hunt, Siren USA, and Dakota 283. And don't forget, support the conservation organizations of the birds you're chasing after and the public lands in which you hunt. Happy New Year, everyone.